Time for another one. We're on question 1. Quick check. AP Design Low Cost is creating a new API using Amazon API Gateway. Requests will be highly variable, with potential hours of inactivity. Data processing must be asynchronous, but complete within seconds of a request. Which compute service should the API invoke for the lowest cost and to meet requirements? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option A. Lambda charges 0 when no function is running. AWS Lambda is a serverless, event-driven compute service that is ideal for highly variable workloads. You pay only for the compute time consumed when the code is running, down to the millisecond. For workloads with hours of inactivity, this is extremely cost-effective as there are no charges when the function is not executing. Lambda functions can easily complete processing within seconds and integrate seamlessly with API Gateway for asynchronous invocation. Welcome back to Stack Lessons. 10 questions today focused on serverless pipelines, SQS messaging patterns, and CloudFront cache management. 6 seconds per question on the timer, but pause whenever you want. Let's go. Track your correct answers. You will want your score for the wrap-up. Time for another one. Question 2. Check the condition before the service. Photo Edit Pro, a photo processing application, runs on EC2 instances and frequently downloads images from S3 buckets within the same AWS region. A solutions architect notes rising data transfer fees and needs to implement a cost reduction measure for this S3 traffic. What is the recommended approach? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option B. Same region, S3 traffic still costs money without this. Accessing S3 from EC2 instances in the same region over the public internet or through a NAT gateway can incur data transfer costs. An S3 gateway VPC endpoint allows instances in your VPC to use private IP addresses to access Amazon S3 without traffic leaving the Amazon network. This eliminates data transfer charges that would otherwise apply for S3 access via public endpoints or NAT gateways, thus reducing costs for same region S3 traffic. Time for another one. Here comes question 3. Legacy Dataproc Inc. has an application on EC2 instances processing data sequentially with a monolithic architecture. Scaling is only possible by increasing instance size. Developers are rewriting it for microservices on Amazon ECS. How should a solutions architect recommend communication between these new microservices? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option A. SNs fans out, but doesn't buffer. SQS does both. Amazon SQS provides a reliable, scalable, and decoupled way for microservices to communicate asynchronously. Producers can send messages, e.g. data or tasks, to an SQS queue without needing to know about the consumers. Consumers can then process these messages independently. This pattern enhances scalability. Consumers can be scaled based on queue depth and resilience. If a consumer fails, the message remains in the queue. Let us switch gears. Question 4. The scenario tells you the trade-off. Real-Time Ingest Corp needs a real-time data ingestion architecture. The solution must provide an API endpoint, a mechanism to transform data as it streams, and a storage solution for the processed data. Which set of services will meet these needs with the least operational overhead? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option B. Firehose plus Lambda handles transform and delivery fully managed. This serverless architecture minimizes operational overhead. Amazon API Gateway provides a managed API, Amazon Kinesis Data Streams ingests the real-time data. Amazon Kinesis Data Firehose can consume from Kinesis data streams, invoke AWS Lambda functions for inline data transformation, and then reliably deliver the transformed data to Amazon S3 for storage. This setup is scalable and managed by AWS. Ready? Question 5. Read it carefully. CMS HighAvail Inc. runs a content management system, CMS, on a single EC2 instance, encompassing both web server and database software. They need to make the website platform highly available and enable it to scale to meet user demand. What should be recommended? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option A. An ASG with min-max of 1 isn't actually scaling. This solution addresses both high availability and scalability. Moving the database to a managed multi-AZ service like Amazon Aurora or RDS ensures database resilience. Creating an AMI of the web server and using it with an auto-scaling group allows the web tier to scale based on demand and recover from instance failures. The application load balancer distributes traffic across instances in multiple availability zones, further enhancing availability and scalability. 5in, serverless beats manage compute on cost, VPC endpoints cut same region S3 fees, and SQS remains the default decoupler for async microservices. Let us switch gears. Question 6. Solve the situation, not the keyword. Badge Access Systems has readers at every entrance sending HTTPS messages when badges are scanned, indicating who accessed which entrance. A solutions architect needs to design a highly available system to process these messages, making results available for security team analysis. Which architecture is best? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option B. Managed HTTPS, serverless compute, scalable NoSQL, 0 servers. This serverless architecture is highly available and scalable. Amazon API Gateway can provide a managed HTTPS endpoint. AWS Lambda can process incoming messages without managing servers. Amazon DynamoDB offers a scalable, highly available NoSQL database suitable for storing structured event data like access logs. This combination minimizes operational overhead while ensuring high availability for message processing and storage for analysis. Alright, question 7. Do not reward the familiar term. Deal Inc. plans to launch a Deal of the Day website on AWS, featuring a single product daily for 24 hours. The site must handle millions of hourly requests with millisecond latency during peak times. What architecture offers the required performance with minimal operational overhead? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option A. Option C adds Elasticache for session data nobody asked for. For a Deal of the Day site needing high scalability and low latency with minimal operational overhead, S3 for static content and CloudFront for global distribution handles static assets efficiently. API Gateway and Lambda provide a scalable, serverless backend for dynamic requests. DynamoDB offers a highly scalable, low-latency NoSQL database suitable for handling millions of requests, especially for product information and user data. Alright, question 8. Check the condition before the service. Vendor Access SecureCo has hired an external vendor who needs to perform work in the company's AWS account. The vendor uses an automated tool hosted in their own AWS account and does not have IAM access to the company's account. How should a solutions architect grant secure, temporary access to the vendor's tool? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option C. Automated tool in another AWS account, trust policy unlocks it. Using IAM roles for cross-account access is the most secure and recommended method. The company creates an IAM role with the principle of least privilege, only the permissions the vendor's tool needs. The trust policy of this role specifies the vendor's AWS account or a specific IAM entity in their account as a trusted principal allowed to assume the role. The vendor's tool can then assume this role to obtain temporary security credentials to operate within the company's account. Let's slow down on this one. Cross-account access is a classic exam trap you need to nail. Imagine a locksmith needs to enter your building while you're away. You wouldn't give them your master key. You'd give them a temporary badge that expires at midnight. That's the idea behind cross-account IAM roles. The vendor's tool lives in their own AWS account. It assumes a role in your account and gets short-lived credentials, valid for up to 12 hours. No password shared. Use this tree. If the other party has their own AWS account, create a cross-account role. If it's a human needing console login, an IAM user with MFA makes sense. If you only need network routing, VPC peering handles that. The question describes an automated tool in another AWS account. That's branch 1 every time. The IAM user answer is the trap. All right, question 9. Anchor on the exact workload. MessageBridge Inc. has 2 applications, a sender that dispatches messages with payloads and a processor intended to receive them. They need an AWS service to mediate messages. The sender sends 1,000 messages an hour. Messages may take up to 2 days to process. If processing fails, messages must be retained without impacting the processing of other messages. Which AWS service is most appropriate? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option D. 2-day processing fits inside SQS's 4-day default retention. Amazon SQS standard queues are well suited for decoupling applications and reliably storing messages. The 2-day processing time is within SQS's default 4-day retention, extendable to 14 days. Configuring a dead letter queue, DLQ, ensures that messages failing processing multiple times are moved to the DLQ for later inspection and handling without blocking the main queue or impacting other messages. Let's look at the numbers, because Kinesis fails this question for one simple reason. Imagine your email inbox deleted any unread message after 24 hours. That's what Kinesis does by default. 1-day retention. This question needs 2 days. So Kinesis fails right there. SQS keeps messages for 4 days by default. Your 2-day window fits easily. And if processing fails, the dead letter queue, or DLQ, catches those broken messages separately, so they don't block the healthy ones. Kinesis is built for millions of events per second. You're sending 1,000 messages an hour, barely a trickle. Wrong tool, wrong retention. SQS wins on both counts. Okay, question 10. The verb matters here. CloudFront Cache Update hosts a static website using Amazon CloudFront in front of an Amazon S3 origin. The company has noticed that sometimes the website does not reflect updates that have been made to the files in the S3 bucket, even though their CI/CD pipeline, which updates S3, reports successful deployments. A solutions architect needs to implement a solution that ensures updates are displayed on the website promptly after deployment to S3. What is the most direct action to resolve this stale content issue? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option A. S3 bucket properties hold no TTL settings. That's the trap. Amazon CloudFront caches objects at its edge locations for a specified time to live, TTL, to improve performance and reduce latency. If content in the S3 origin is updated, CloudFront might continue to serve the older, cached version until the TTL expires. To ensure updates are displayed promptly, you can perform an invalidation in CloudFront. An invalidation request removes the specified objects or paths from the CloudFront cache, forcing CloudFront to fetch the latest version from the S3 origin the next time a user requests that content. This is the standard way to refresh cached content in CloudFront after updates. This one catches people out all the time. Let's trace exactly what goes wrong and what fixes it. Imagine you ship a bug fix at 9 p.m. Your CI/CD pipeline turns green, files are in S3. Ugh. But users still see the broken page. Here's why. CloudFront caches your files at edge locations for 24 hours by default. Your S3 update is invisible to them until that timer runs out. The fix, a cache invalidation. You tell CloudFront to throw away its cached copy right now. You can target a single file or use a wildcard path to wipe everything. The next request hits the edge. The cache is empty. CloudFront fetches the fresh file from S3, and your fix is live. S3 versioning doesn't help here. CloudFront doesn't check for new versions on its own. Invalidation is the direct lever. 3 takeaways from this session. First, Lambda's pay per millisecond pricing makes it the default choice whenever inactivity periods are mentioned. Second, SQS dead letter queues isolate poison pill messages. Default retention is 4 days, extendable to 14. Third, CloudFront Invalidation is the CI/CD lever for stale content, not TTL reductions or S3 versioning toggles. Every question in this batch had a serverless answer ready to win. Lock in the DLQ mental model and the CloudFront Invalidation reflex. Those cover 3 question families the exam loves to remix. Before you go, if this is helping, subscribing is the best free way to support the channel and grow it. Drop your score in the comments and what tripped you up. Got an exam on your radar I should cover next? Name it below. And if anything about the speed or style could improve, send me your thoughts. I read every one.